am who I say I am. I believe that I'm in my own ability and I have confidence in my style of play.
You are locked into the U. I'm Savanna Hamilton. Welcome back. We are in the thick of U Sports Championships right now. Specifically, we're talking football. And there's tons of conference finals happening right now. We're going to break it all down in just a moment with Arash Madani. But before we get there, we got to talk a little bit of women's rugby. The UBC Thunderbirds, they secured the national title literally in the final minute of action. To break it all down, we're bringing in former national team rugby player Andrea Burke, who is now, of course, one of our very own sports analysts. Welcome to the show, Andrea. I want to just jump straight into the good stuff because we know that the UBC Thunderbirds claimed the national title over the Victoria Vikes. But the backstory here, the lore, as we say, is that the Thunderbirds struggled against the Vikes all season long, so it wasn't necessarily a surprise to see them down in the final minute of the game. But the plot twist of this whole thing is that they ended up pulling out the win to be named the national champions. Can you walk me through what went right for the T-Birds in the last 60 seconds?
Well, speaking of lore, the fact that they were home field advantage might give a little bit of mystere to it. I could hear the stands through the broadcast. They had a whole bunch of bananas and banging on their drums. UBC definitely had a good amount of that home field advantage. That was such an amazing game, back and forth. I never really knew anybody, which team was ever going to have it. It was always within a couple of points. UVic did a great job to come back, close that margin, get ahead in the last minutes of play. And they still had 3 minutes to maintain possession of the ball, and that's a really long time. One strategy that is often used is a lot of pick and goes in the forwards. We want to minimize the amount of handling errors. However, 4 minutes is a long time to be doing that. And UBC was able to get a turnover. And I think that's where the experience and expertise of some of our international players like Piper Logan, Charity Williams, and even Adia Pai, she's a little bit younger, but she does have that world-renowned experience. And basically, Piper just saw the gap on the outside, used her skills, her wide sevens pass, moved that ball really quick, and UVic had a tough time covering that open space on the outside. It put UBC into the lead, up for the win, and it was a 2-point score. So it was an incredible finish. I have goosebumps talking about it right now, and I don't think there was any losers on that day. It was an incredible day for women's rugby.
We will get into Charity Williams in just a moment, but I want to turn the attention actually to yourself because it was a very short, minuscule, really, 20 years ago that you played in U Sports yourself. When you watch games like the ones that you watched this past weekend, what do you notice has changed the most since you played?
Right off the bat, even the fact that I can get onto a computer, be in Toronto and watching the games, my jaw just dropped. The quality of the production, the amount of opportunity there is, not just for players, but for coaches, for analysts, for production crews, to cut their teeth in the university sport environment. It just floored me. Like, YouTube wasn't a thing when I was going to university. I joke that we used to wear cotton shorts and cotton jerseys, and any rugby followers will understand how long ago we used to wear that, right? We would wear uniforms like that. So that was the first thing, just right off the get-go, the production quality. But also seeing the match official teams, it's quite the production to be able to put on a national tournament and to fly out all the teams from across the country. And then let's talk about the quality of play. I didn't learn how to pass a ball more than 10 meters until I was actually named to the national team. And now we have a national team who is World Cup silver medalists. They are setting the standard for rugby play throughout the nation. And this is what the U Sports athletes are striving towards. It's in an incredible place right now. And I know with the amount of interest and the amount of people investing their time into either developing the sport or developing themselves, the rugby scene is just going to continue to grow in Canada.
What's amazing to me is the fact that we're seeing national team athletes, current ones, still playing in U Sports like we are with Charity Williams, which we just mentioned. She plays for the UBC Thunderbirds and she won the tournament MVP, which is remarkable in and of itself. But in your perspective, what set her apart And who are some of the other standout stars that you see out there?
Oh gosh, every single team had a star. I had at least one or two stars. And one thing that I love, like, yes, Charity Williams, she is an Olympian and she is a World Cup sevens player. She's been training in that environment on a day-to-day basis for many of years. I do want to touch on the fact that when I was coming through the ranks, like all of us athletes, we went to school first. And then we continued our rugby careers. And that is getting shifted right now with the Olympic funding, right? So athletes can pursue these rugby dreams, and I love that they have those doors open and they have those opportunities to go and get and continue playing rugby, but also get an post-secondary education, while when as they're retiring. It just opens up the doors for them. So Charity Williams, like, her work rate is what really stood out for me. She was just always into tackles, repeat tackles, but back on her feet and engaged in the game. Kiki Dawood with UBC Thunderbirds was another name that was being repeatedly called, and she has not played at a senior national level. She's up and coming right now, and I'm sure we'll see much more of her. There's so many talented athletes at the U Sports level right now. It's really, really exciting to watch.
I want to switch gears here just for a moment and focus on the bronze medal game. Guelph only lost to Queens by 2 points. I know, as a former athlete myself, like that stings. That one hurts. Do you think that the better team in this case truly won, or do you think the time just expired and it just so happened to be that, hey, Queens was up at the moment?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the latter. I don't know that the better team won. I think both teams were incredibly evenly matched. I think Guelph is probably feeling incredibly gutted, like you said. Oh, so close. But when you look at the comeback that they had off of their OUA loss to Queens, and Queens just totally smashed them. I think Guelph has a lot to be proud of. I thought they had their tactics on the day, their skill execution on the day was incredible. And let's talk about a 2-point loss. That's a kick, right? That's a converted penalty. That's a converted try. And I think the time just ran out a little bit, and the Queens got away with it to this weekend.
That's a stinger, and I get it. I 100% get it. Andrea, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor.
Arash Madani joins us back in studio to talk football. It's been a crazy couple of weeks, so we got a lot to get to, but thanks for joining us, Arash.
Sav, always good. Conference championship weekend.
Let's go. Okay. The University of Saskatchewan hosts the University of Regina for the Canada West title. The Huskies got home field advantage, must be nice, but we know that these two teams have seen each other before earlier this season, but a lot has changed. So what do you know?
Well, a lot has changed for both of these teams. I mean, who would have thought, let's start with the University of Regina, that when you start 3-1, you're going to make a quarterback change. Noah Pelche led the Rams to a Hardy Cup conference title last year, and he began the season as their starting quarterback. But then it was a move that they made over there in Regina, and it's Owen Sieben who has come in, and he's kind of a little change of pace running back that when the pocket breaks down, he's not afraid to go run with it, a higher percentage thrower, so that's what's happened there. Meanwhile, University of Saskatchewan, best quarterback in Canada West, the Huskies have been without him for a month. Anton Amundrud has been out with an injury. They've said the job is his when he's healthy, when he's ready to go. In his place has come Jake Farrell, and he's 4-0 as the backup. I mean, he doesn't have the arm strength of an Amundrud, but they basically told him, Sav, just stay within the offensive system. Trust the structure. Don't try and do too much, and go. And 4-0. So a lot has changed for both teams with both of their quarterbacks.
Well, we got both teams, as you kind of mentioned, in Canada West, starting their backup quarterbacks, right? That doesn't happen every day. So can you go a little bit further into why this is happening?
Well, what's so interesting is we get so caught up in quarterbacks. But you take a look at the University of Regina, they're a run-first offense. Like, Marshall Erickson has been their bell cow. He has done it all for them as a conference all-star, except third quarter last week, Erickson goes down with a serious injury. My sources tell me Erickson is out for this game. And Regina has not been in this position before. Wow. It's going to be running back by committee, and they're going up against one of the strongest, one of the most physical defensive fronts in all of U Sports. Sav, over at over at U of S, the Huskies the last few years, they have emphasized defensive line in their recruiting. This is going to be as physical a football game as you're going to find, and Regina's without their top player.
Let's head over to Laurier. They had what appeared to be a pretty squeaky clean season. Must be nice there.
Sure.
They cruised into the Yates Cup, but Queens, on the other hand, they're a little bit more, maybe a bit more stressed. They had a large deficit at the half to Windsor, but still found a way to come out on top. Third Yates Cup in 5 years for the Gales. Arash, they got to be careful. Some might even say that they're building a reputation having so many appearances in such a short amount of time now.
Yeah, they're building a program over there. They may have built a program over there. Steve Snyder's in his 6th year as the head coach with the Gales, came over from Western, and prior to that, St. FX. They have a mantra over there at Queen's Sav, which is stay steady. And it's easy to say it. It's another thing to be it, and they lived up to it, especially in that playoff game last week at Windsor. You mentioned they're down double-digit points in the third quarter. And then Alex Vraken, their quarterback, went deep on back-to-back throws to Logan Walton, and that absolutely changed the game. It was almost as if there was like this collective sigh of relief on that Queens sideline. They stayed steady. And from there, they went to the ground game. They went to Jared Kasari, who ripped off a huge run at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Got to give a shout out to Liam Silverson, who just had a great block off the backside edge on the touchdown run. You know, around Queens, there's this belief that they can get it done. There's this belief that it's about us. And now, as you mentioned, their third Yates Cup in 5 years, their biggest test coming up against Laurier this weekend.
Let's go a little further east. We got Montreal and Laval. It was just like yesterday.
Again.
We were talking about them in the regular season, and so they can't get enough of each other. But this time, both teams are seeing each other, as you mentioned, in the RSEQ Championship. Big deal. That attendance record, I imagine, is going to be through the roof. We were talking before about like 21,000 people attending. What's the attendance record going to be with this one now, with the rivalry?
You know, it is the biggest rivalry in Quebec sports. And for those old enough to remember the old Habs Nordiques rivalry, this is it. This is the 2025 version. It is fierce. It means something. It's as cultural as it is sport. And the football reflects it. Like, it is defensive minded, points are hard to come by, and you have two of the best defensive units in all of U sports going at it with one another. And Sav, you mentioned it. Like, the third time you play each other, there's no secrets.
Yeah.
Both teams know each other. The players have come up in the same era against one another. There will be, like, no one's reinventing the wheel, but there's going to be some curveballs here. And I was speaking with some people around the Caravan. They said, look, we've got some stuff in our game plan that we've kept in our back pocket, that we've repped in practice, that we haven't shown on film yet. Laval has been the dominant team, but Montreal is right there. It's been the two of them, you know, since 2002. And another edition in front of 20,000 plus people in Quebec City.
When Laval won a few weeks ago, they picked off four passes and had a punt block for a touchdown. So if I'm Montreal, I got to clean that up.
Look, you got to protect the football.
Yeah.
You know, Montreal's got 2 losses this year. In both of those defeats, they lost the turnover battle. So this game comes down really to 2 factors. Ball security. You know the old football line, ball security is job security.
Yep.
And who's going to win the battle at the point of attack? Who's going to win at the line of scrimmage? And with those big fellas up front, this becomes as much attitude as anything else. So kind of put it all together, and it's going to be a show down there in Quebec.
We talk about Montreal and Laval seeing each other a lot. We got to talk about St. Mary's and St. FX because they're seeing each other for the 4th time in the Loney Bowl in Halifax. But there's a little something about St. FX's, clutch quarterback action, specifically in the 4th. Can you go into that?
So last week, playoff game, Bishops comes to Antigonish, and my Mighty Gators are leading with under 2 minutes to go. And Silas Fagnon, St. FX's quarterback, steps onto the field at his own 24-yard line, trailing by a point. Again, under 2 minutes to go, 5th-year quarterback. And Sav, he's saying to himself, this isn't going to be my last game ever playing university football. And so he begins a march. He begins a drive. 16 yards here, 24 yards there. They ran the football a bunch. 11 plays, 76 yards, and with no time on the clock, Tyson Heather kicks the game-winning field goal. St. FX punches its ticket into another Loney Bowl to face their rivals, St. Mary's. So they're making the trip to Halifax. And I talked to Huskies head coach Steve Sumera this week, and he just said, look, Silas is their alpha male. Silas is their dude. We have to take his first read away. We have to get his feet moving, because he said if we let him sit back there in the pocket, get comfortable, and start executing, it's going to be a long day at the office. So fourth time's the charm for one of these teams to get into a national bowl game that they will be hosting in Atlanta, Canada next weekend.
Yeah, well, wish them both luck there. But thank you so much for setting up the conference finals from across the country. Always a pleasure.
Great to see us, Ev.
Speaking of football, we got one of the biggest names in the game right now. We got Laurier's quarterback, Cal Wither, joining us. He is fresh off of his OUA semifinal conference win, and he's looking forward to the Yates Cup ahead. Cal, thanks for joining us.
All right, thanks for having me. Yeah, great to be here.
All right, let's get straight on into it. Before we dive into all that stuff, all the Yates Cup stuff, I want to just kind of like bring it back a little bit. If you can go back and tell your 13-year-old self that you would be competing in a Yates Cup coming off of playing 3 years in the States, how would he feel and what would he say?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I think my 13-year-old self may be a little surprised. I think growing up, definitely like always through high school and stuff, thought that like the States was going to be the path, and was just confident in my own ability at that point. But with that being said, like I think I'd be super proud of myself at 13, knowing I was able to come here and come back and do this and be a part of such a special team. So I think 13-year-old self would be pretty happy with where I am right now.
I love that. We both know that American football and Canadian football, they are two different games. Like, let's be so for real. What was the transition like in terms of style of play and what you had to overcome in order to adjust to the Canadian game coming off of your time at Ohio University?
Yeah, so it was definitely a bit of an adjustment. Obviously, the game is different, more people, bigger field. And I hadn't really played a lot of Canadian football in my whole life. High school was American, college American. So just coming back here and experiencing something new and different. But, you know, change can be good. And with coaches like Coach Falls and Coach Galloway, and being with them every day throughout the summer, guys like Leo Talayo, spend every day of the summer with him, working, throwing, learning the plays, doing all sorts of stuff. And when you have people like that, it makes the adjustment so much easier. Obviously, you know, it's 3 downs. It's a little more pass heavy, a little faster paced of a game. But overall, like it's when you have a group of guys in a community like this, it makes the transition so much easier.
Cal, you had huge shoes to fill, stepping in for Taylor Algersma, who actually had a stint in the NFL with the Green Bay Packers. Forget proving yourself to the team. What did you want to prove to yourself?
Yeah, I mean, Taylor, gotten really to be really close with him, and he's a great dude and a phenomenal player. And obviously him leaving and me being able to step in, it was kind of a great opportunity for me to go on, and it's been proven that someone can do it, and having someone like that in my corner has been great. But for me, you know, I just wanted to be able to prove that I am who I say I am. You know, I believe that I'm in my own ability, and I have confidence in my style of play. So just going out there and being able to prove that I am who I say I am was really what I wanted to do this year.
I love that. I am who I say I am. Let's go. What does it mean to be one of the best players in the country? Did you ever think that was a possibility for yourself, and also have the support of the locker room around you backing you?
Yeah, definitely. Like in my own ability, like this is what I thought I was capable of. But at the end of the day, it was on me to put in the work every day to be able to get to this point. Obviously, you know, it's great to have such a, you know, be recognized as, you know, a good player out here in Canada. But at the end of the day, it's a team game, and I'm just fortunate to be on one of the best teams in the country.
What was the process like before the season started to get ready for this?
Yeah, so I got here in late June. So I had about a month and a half to really get acclimated, learn the offense, get with the guys. So every day I was in here with Coach Galloway and Coach Foltz, every morning, coming in a couple hours a day, learning the playbook, watching film, just getting acclimated to the Canadian game, getting to know these guys. And then after that, we had, team runs, team workouts. All my receivers, we were out on the field every single day throwing. We knew we only had 2 months to get ready for the season and get used to timing and the way I throw and the way they run routes. So we took full advantage of that and spent every moment we could together.
What is your pregame ritual when you look ahead? What do you do? Any favorite artists that you listen to, food that you eat, any superstitions?
No, I'm not a big superstitious guy. I kind of just try to be myself and just go out there and say like, hey, this is just another game. Um, I'm a big music guy. I listen to a lot of music. Pre-game, a lot of like, I'm a rock guy when it comes to pre-game. A lot of like Alice in Chains, Creed, stuff like that. Maybe a little AC/DC in there. No real pre-game rituals. I come, just talk to Coach Falls and Coach Galloway for a little bit. Just, go over the game plan one more time. Just spend a little time with the guys, and then I tend to take a moment and try to take the headphones off and just enjoy where I'm at for a moment on the field before the game. So like that's probably my pregame ritual if I had one.
Okay. And finally, what is your favorite part about being back in Canada?
Some non-football related that is pretty nice is so I'm living at home right now. I live like 5 minutes away from Laurier. Um, and just, I moved away pretty early, moved away at like 13. Spent a lot of time away from home. So getting to spend a little more time with my family, getting to see them a little more has been great. And obviously playing football is a lot of fun. It's a good perk.
Cal, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck this weekend. I know that we'll be watching.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mark it down in your calendars, November 6th to 9th. Yep, this weekend, both the men's and women's soccer championship tournament. Yes, the best 8 teams in the country will be chasing gold. Cross-country finals are also taking place this weekend with the women's and men's 8-kilometer races scheduled for the afternoon of Saturday, November 8th. Thanks for watching. I'm Savanna Hamilton. Be great.